Hello, and welcome to episode 14 of the What If South is Up podcast, where we talk about the ups and downs of creating worlds from scratch, and all the misadventures we experience along the way. In a nutshell, how to wing it like an author. My name is Xtina, Xtina LaFave, and I'm in the middle of building my first world, a parallel Earth where colonization did not happen in the Americas. I'm writing my first book, which has a working title of Cogs and Arrows. It's kind of along the lines of a native futurism novel. Here with me today is my witty and much more taller than me co-host, Derrick Hall.
Hey everybody, I'm Derrick Hall, and I write books. Yay.
There's more to the story, come on!
My brain just completely froze up. Let's try that again, shall we? Hey everybody, I'm Derrick Hall, author and creator of the Crimson Prophecy series. Oh god. It's gonna be a long night. Hey everybody, I'm Derrick Hall, author and creator of the Crimson Prophecy series. And book 2 of that series is coming up quick on May 25th. I'm getting very excited about that.
I'm very excited about that. I'm so happy for you.
I still have a whole nother round of revisions thanks to a mutual friend, but I'm excited.
Okay.
Last minute betas are the best. They save your hide, but also create a world of hurt.
I am actually happy that you have such a beta. That actually is very helpful.
I am too, until I start looking at the notes and realize how much work it's going to be.
Well, it's a good thing you trust that beta.
I do trust that beta quite a lot. We'll see how much of it I can actually get to before release. So how's your day been going?
It's actually an excellent day. So this is the day before a 2-week vacation, and I am ecstatic, happy, relieved, all the things. I can't wait. I can't wait. We're going to be taking a drive from New Hampshire to New Mexico. Spending over a week there before we drive back. And the reason why we're driving is because my ever-lovely husband really doesn't like the idea of COVID. He doesn't trust people. So we're not flying. Well, and flying has always been hard on him because of his ear issues, and flying today is no fun anymore. The seats are so small and all the things. So we're driving. So I think that'll be fun. So I'm officially on vacation, and I'm so looking forward to it. And Derrick, how's your day going?
My day is filled with no, my day's been pretty good. I'm busy, as always. Lately I've been writing on book 3 and making that final pass on book 2, which goes live in... Well, I have to have it done in exactly a month.
You will.
It's coming up quick.
It's coming up quick. So by the time that this gets published, or what do we call it? When it goes online, it gets produced, it gets online, it gets... Release. Well, no, not the book, the podcast.
It's still a release.
When this gets released, it'll be less than a month. So everybody listening, plan, budget, get ready, because here it comes, baby.
Yep. Yeah, so if you're listening to this on the day of release, you have 29 days to plan and scrimp and save and convince other family members to go and buy my book.
A necessity, folks. Let's go.
Screw rent. You don't need that bottle of $20 shampoo. You
need that book. Yes. Woohoo. Okay. So, Mr. Hall, what if...
We're not drunk at all.
No, I didn't start 2 hours ago. Shh. Okay. Mr. Hall, what are you currently reading or watching? Or both?
Well, I'm still working on Will White's Black Flame, book 3 of his Cradle series. Still having a lot of fun with that, but also I've been really tired lately, so I haven't been able to read as much. But enjoying that. I've been doing some beta reads and critique reads for friends, including you. Finally getting to see some tangible proof that you're not just pulling my leg and leading me on.
I'm pretty good at that, you know.
Oh, yeah, I've noticed.
No, the writing, not the pulling the leg.
Call it what you want. We all know the truth.
Yeah.
I watched the new season of the Bo-Katan show. I mean, the Mandalorian.
Oh!
And,
whoa!
Shots fired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
And, I watched the new Netflix documentary on the Waco standoff, of all things.
I've been avoiding
Waco
that.
American Apocalypse, and it was actually really good.
I've heard twice that it's really good.
It has a lean.
Okay.
It has a bent to it. I'm not going to deny that. But they also acknowledged a theory that I've had for years, and everyone has vehemently denied, including the government, until this. So it's actually pretty good. Just pinch of salt, just like anything journalistic.
I will put it on my to be watched, but I don't know. I'll just put it there. How's that?
Fair enough. How about you?
Okay, so like you, I've been critiquing a lot of things, some great stuff, some stuff that I think the writing is excellent. I don't enjoy the story, but I've been critiquing a lot, and from that I've been learning a lot. And nothing I've been watching has been very important or unexpected. I mean, I still haven't watched the last episode of The Mandalorian, which I would like to do, because I see my feed, everyone in my feeds for my social media is like, this is good, so I gotta watch the end of it, and then just some other stuff that I put on the background. Nothing really important, nothing really good. Yeah.
No, well, finish the Bo-Katan show and tell me how you feel about it.
You know I will.
I gots to know.
You know I will. I'm not shy about that.
Are you caught up other than that episode?
Yes.
How did you feel about Jack Black?
Oh my god, it was so fun! Ooh, okay, we need to put it...
It was one of those scenes where I did like the quadruple take going,
Me
no,
too!
they didn't just do that.
Yeah,
They didn't just do that. That is not who I think son of a bitch it is.
Some bitch. Okay. We need to put a spoiler, warning on this episode, because we don't want people who haven't seen this. By the way, if you haven't seen this so far, you're missing it. But no, that was so fun. I did the same thing.
It was great.
I was like,
once I figured out who it was, I didn't think about it again, because it's just like, okay.
Okay, yeah, he's doing it well. He's doing him. Yeah.
Jack Black in Star Wars, it's fine.
But I did hear read some kind of rumor about how this is going to tie into something in the future, and I'm just like, yes, I'm here for that. I'm so here for
all the
that.
Jack Black Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. Lizzo too.
And I wouldn't mind seeing more of our other friend from that episode as well.
Yeah, I said it, Lizzo. Yeah.
No, not Lizzo.
Oh, did I miss something?
You might have. The head of security.
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
So not only did we get Jack Black and Lizzo, we got Christopher Lloyd in Star Wars.
We got Christopher, which is... So now Christopher Lloyd has starred in both Star Wars and Star Trek. I'm like, yes! Yes. Yeah.
Have you heard the alternate theories, like fan theories floating around about Christopher Lloyd?
No.
And being in Star Wars?
No. And Back to the Future? Does it tie into the Back to the Future?
Uh-huh. So the rumor is that at some point in Doc's testing, the DeLorean malfunctioned, and he ended up in a galaxy far, far away a long time ago. And inadvertently started a religion, and in the process of starting that religion has lived for a very long time and is now undercover because he doesn't like what he started. So the rumor is that he started, by his appearance and great power, the Mandalorian cult, which is an ambiguation of man in a DeLorean.
I'll buy that.
I don't care if it actually works in the Star Wars universe. That is my headcanon now. Because it's just too perfect.
Yeah. Anyways, it was a really fun episode because of all of that.
It was a fun episode.
It was a fun episode.
Got some fun cameos going on this season.
It was great.
Yep. And Lizzo was freaking adorable with Grogu.
Oh, I know, right? It was so sweet.
Like her little Pomeranian dog. Like someone else we know.
Who's sitting on my lap right now, wrapped in a little blankie, licking my hand.
At least you're not playing space croquet.
I'll teach him yet. Just watch.
Oh, where even were we? Xtina, what are you drinking?
Okay.
Because apparently you've had a lot of it.
I have. So I started earlier today because one of my bestest friends, her name is Mandy, has bartended for like forever, 2 decades, 20 years. And she's a single mom, and she has put herself through college, and she now has her bachelor's degree, and she just got a brand new job working for a nonprofit organization to help do development for the local economy. We're so proud of her.
Nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So tonight was her last shift, so a bunch of us showed up to drink some last drinks with her, and I did have more than one, but not more than two. So I'm sticking to that story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sticking with what I started with, which is a margarita. Wait, what's that word? There's no. What does James Bond drink?
Martini?
Yes, I'm drinking a margarita martini. Yes.
That's a new one.
Yes. Which basically means a margarita without the ice. That's all it means.
Okay.
And you? What are you drinking?
Fair enough. I have Irish coffee with a twist.
And the twist?
I may or may not have...
Whiskey? Bourbon?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's bourbon in here. It should be Irish, but there is bourbon in here. So, maybe it's a Kentucky coffee. I don't know.
Kentucky
But it's still
coffee.
got Irish cream in it, so I don't know. Either way, it tastes good.
So a Southern Kentucky coffee.
Are you saying Northern Kentucky doesn't taste good?
I wouldn't know.
That came out all wrong. That came out very wrong. To anyone in Kentucky, I apologize.
Shall we continue?
We shall.
Okay. Every week, we like to share one sentence from our current works in progress. A single sentence. No context. Then we let you folks know if we're planning on keeping it, or if we had to watch our darling die. So, Derrick, are you ready for darlings, dead or alive?
Darlings, what?
Dead or alive. I want you to hear my slur.
Sounded like a British child asking for their father. Diddy.
Dead.
Diddy. Papa. This, however, is not Little House on the Prairie. I do have a darling. It is from book 2, the one coming out soonish. And I'm actually going to give you a choice because I actually have 2 from that book.
Oh, okay.
Do you want sarcastic or honest?
I love your sarcasm.
All right. The people have spoken. Calm down, Baldicus. We're here to help.
Okay, we're not allowed to explain, and there's so many questions. I will ask you, is this dead or alive?
It is very much alive.
Oh, I can't wait to read it.
That line is your fault, you know.
It's my fault!
That line is your fault.
I love things that are my fault, but why? Why is it my fault?
I was writing that scene and talking to you, and I couldn't come up with a name, and you suggested Baldicus, and I just went with it.
I did.
You thought I was kidding. It is getting published as Baldicus.
Oh, it's going to be...
If you would like a footnote on that page giving you credit, you are welcome to it. Just say the word.
No. Please, take it. I will say, though, if my most famous... If I become famous because of the words I gave you, I'm going to be depressed.
I feel like that would benefit both of us. Long term.
Long term.
Long term.
Long term. All right.
Term. How about you? What are you attached to for no reason?
For no reason. Here it is. Deandra was almost too afraid to ask. So, you talk to ghosts? Seriously? For real?
Well, yes, you see, we're the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, the Ghostbusters. So, just to put it out there, this is not a horror. It's just, yeah, the ghosts are there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally there.
We talked about this last time. I hear dead people. Episode 13.
Episode 13, yes.
We'll wait. Go.
Go?
Go. Come back when you're done. We'll wait.
For dead people?
You're killing me, Smalls.
It took me a moment.
On to the actual reason that we're here. The main point of the show. And our favorite game. Each week, we roll a 20-sided die, which helps us randomly choose from a perpetual list of 20 scenarios, and then we talk about how it would affect our made-up ad hoc worlds. Are you ready?
I am ready.
You don't sound ready.
I promise I am.
You hesitated.
It's only because I have a cute puppy in my lap, so.
Alright. If you insist, because here it comes. Number 15. What if there were a plague or outbreak of infectious disease?
So I'm assuming this question is kind of like asking us, how would our world handle COVID?
Pretty much. Or the Black Plague, or smallpox, or Spanish influenza. Take your pick. SARS, polio.
So I don't think that my world would think of it as anything that's superstitious related or anti-religical in any way. I mean, there wouldn't be any type of you're sick, therefore you sinned kind of thing. There wouldn't be any of that.
Good.
Yeah, right? But I think that if... Boy, this is tough. There's a lot of things to think about when you think about an infectious disease of this sort. I mean, how it was handled in, the medieval period versus, understanding what medicine is or can do. It's two totally different worlds.
Exactly. There's a lot of world building that would have to go into it because you have to know what your medical system can do.
As well as what the what's it called? Religiosity would think of, of this happening then or now or whatever.
Yeah.
Would my world start washing their hands more often out of the blue? No, because they would have to be informed that would be an issue. This is really interesting. I have to think about this for a moment. And
you have germ theory in your world?
That is not something I've considered because I have people in my world that can actually heal people, but they can only heal people if they know what's wrong with them.
Bingo. So your medical system, I'm going to guess, would be limited to healers who have their own limitations and holistics for the most part?
I would say healers, so
what do you do if you don't have a healer? Would you be relying on like herbs and poultices and that sort of thing?
So I would say that in the more rural communities, absolutely. Yeah. But the closer you get to a urban setting, it would be less and less so.
So more of an organized corporate type medicine at that point.
My hackles are raised at a corporate
well,
type
that may not be the right
system.
word, but you know what I imply by that, I think. So
yeah, right. Part of the reason why my book starts off in a very, very rural setting that has connections to the outside world, but not dependencies on. So in those very rural centers, I think of like, although my world is nothing like it, I think of like Appalachia.
Oh yeah,
right?
For sure.
Where there are Appalachian healers that have nothing to do with, Western medical practices, but they're still able to heal people.
Sort of a parallel to the whole Appalachia thing would be like the beginning of the Hunger Games. It's very small.
Okay, yeah.
That, what was it, District 11, I think it was, is...
13?
No, was it 13? I don't remember. It's been a while. Anyways, Katniss's district is if you look at the supposed maps of Panem, some of which come in the books, so they're pretty official. That district is basically West Virginia.
Yeah.
So if you take that Appalachian backwoods, rely on each other and nobody else sort of attitude, that's a really good representation of it. Because I've been there, I've had family there, I'm very familiar with West Virginia, and that was an excellent representation.
So I don't think that the minor caveat between that what you're saying and what I'm thinking is that my rural community is not like they can't depend on other people or they don't depend on other people. It's just there's no one else to depend on.
Right. I'm not saying it's exactly the same thing, but as far as that mindset of small town, we take care of each other and we'll be fine, just leave us alone, is kind of...
So I can see in my world how a pandemic would start, and then in my rural setting where the book starts, they wouldn't really be aware of it because it hasn't affected them because they're so far away.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. Because I live in a tiny little country town, and it took months for the crown disease to actually show up in our town.
As my character moves from this very rural, woodsy type of setting into an urban setting, they would see something completely different. First of all, they would see the effects of it on a mass scale, right? And I think that because in my world, that magic does exist, which is what we're asking for the healers from in the rural districts. But in the urban districts, in my world, there's not only healers, but there's also scientific medicinal. And as a caveat to this, I recently learned that one of the Native American tribes, I know I'm going to say this word right, so I absolutely ask forgiveness before I even start, is the Anishinaabe tribes. They have one word for writer, artist, and scientist. It's all the same word. And I love this. This resonates so well with me. So in my world, I've kind of had this concept in the back of my head that artists and scientists are treated the same.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So this kind of gives me, it kind of gives me credence to it. So if there was this kind of pandemic that happened in this urban setting, I think that healers would be as important as surgeons or as important as any other researcher, scientist, or anything like that. And I think that it would be taken seriously. And any types of precautions would also be taken seriously. So I think it would have a profound effect on my world in the let's make sure this doesn't happen to other people's side of the equation.
Yeah, I can see that. I can also see you eventually ending up with like several volumes of like appendices with all the world building stuff you end up not using.
Oh, yes, you're not wrong. I'm actually looking forward to writing those. I would love my own. What word can I come up for my own wiki, for my own world?
Yeah.
But yeah. And what would happen in your world with some kind of pandemic
in
like this?
My world, I hesitate to say that it's similar, but the enchantments could fall under that. If you're familiar with my stories, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm trying not to spoil anything for our listeners. But assuming that doesn't count, and people just started getting sick. In the cities, the independent cities, I think they would all try to contain their own problem, and people wouldn't really realize how widespread something was until it was too late. I don't really have scientific medicine in Ketra. It's very medieval style medicine, lots of herbs, poultices, leeches, things like that. And, you know, when your poultice or your potion or whatever doesn't really work, well, you're probably not going to have an idea what to do. So, I think it would probably be a lot more devastating in my world than yours. I think the cities would basically close their gates and run up a plague flag, as it were, and like try to contain things, but if they're all having the same problem, that doesn't really help either. So it's going to be a matter of who's the smartest at figuring out if that didn't work, maybe this other thing will, and finding a cure or something that will help, or who is going to have the skill and ability and resources to come in with magic and try to solve the problem. Because, well, it's magic. You can fix anything with magic if you're creative enough.
Anything. Absolutely anything. So, how would your world handle the mass deaths?
Mass graves? Not to be morbid.
So there wouldn't be any concern. No, I'm just curious. Would there be concern about afterlife or ritual, or, would there be any concerns about are these people are going to end up in the right place?
I don't think so. There isn't really organized religion in my world at all. What there is that could be considered religion is really more of just like cultural tradition in some of the more secluded groups. But in general, it's whatever you want. You want to be burned? Fine. You want to be put in the ground? Fine. Like, there's not a whole lot of specific tradition or ritual around death. Afterlife isn't really a consideration anymore. At one point, there were religions in this world, but they've sort of died out. People will still use the slang, as it were, like, oh, divines bless, or something like that, but they don't actually believe in whatever deity they're addressing. It's just kind of a colloquial filler phrase that's hung on. And, like, afterlife, none of that, it's not really a thought, for the most part. That's probably a good chunk of me bleeding through into my world, but...
That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
We all do that. So, one of the most profound burial scenes that has ever hit me was Star Trek Voyager. I don't know the name of the episode, but it's the episode where these people all talk in Shakespearean, quintuplets or whatever it's called, octuplets, whatever it's called. Couplets, yes. And they're talking about how their dead were buried face up and about how atrocious that was. And their dead need to be buried face down so they could see the earth. That hit me so hard. And when I think about my books, right, my story, I would love to come up with a ceremony or I don't really want to talk about ceremony or ritual in my book, but I would love to come up with a concept. Tradition that hit that hard, that really establish what this world was like, what this culture was like, just based off of how they buried people. I mean, you've heard about the Tibetan burial ritual with the vultures, right? That is so distinct and so specific. It is so beautiful. So if I were to have a pandemic in my world, if I were to create one for my world, I think that I would want to center the story on how these thousands, hundred thousands of people could not be buried with distinction or with in a way that befits them. And I would want to come up with this burial ceremony in a distinct way to show that this is not happening. That it's that juxtaposition between what we believe should happen, and then this story comes along and shows us, no, this is the way we like to do it over here. And it makes it so stark and so vivid and so beautiful in the story.
Yeah, so I haven't been as hard on my characters as some, but I've had to do a couple of funeral scenes. I think 3 at this point. The first one, the character chose to be burned, and it was a very Scandinavian style build a pyre, place them on the pyre, sing songs, drink sort of funeral. The second chose to be buried. And the third, I'm not sure what she would have chosen, but she ended up in essentially the family crypt thousands of feet underground. The second one that was buried, honestly, I took a lot of inspiration on that whole scene from Lord of the Rings when Theoden's son, is buried. And she was from a very different culture than the first one, or the one to come after, being a member of the desert tribes. And I think the wanting to be buried could be considered to be a cultural holdover for her. It's not explicitly stated, but it's something that, in my brain at least, makes sense. So there can be a cultural element or a traditional element to things, but it doesn't have to be, we do it this way because my people blah 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 blah. It can just be there and be implied. Some people might take issue with that, but I don't have a problem with that. I think when I'm reading a book, I love details, but I think there comes a point when it's too much. Especially with world building. If you can imply something and then let the reader decide for themselves what that looks like, smells like, tastes like, what that tradition looks like, or whatever, I appreciate that more as a reader because it keeps my mind engaged.
I also appreciate, and I don't disagree with you, I also appreciate when somebody gives me perspective on something I've never considered before.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it is such a divergence from what I consider to be something without thought, something that I would never consider to be anything other than this way. And they give me this thing that I'm like, oh my God, are you telling me not everybody in the whole entire universe wants to be buried on their backs looking up?
Oh no, absolutely not.
I love that makes me think of things, makes me realize I am not the default, you know? There's so many other things to think about. Now let me ask you a question about this pandemic thing that happened in our imaginary world. What would happen if suddenly, in your world, a third of the people disappeared? 1/3. 1 out of every 3 people are gone. And this is pandemic, so they all died from this. So 1 in 3 people. How does that affect your economy or your world or your government? Or
I think
any
a lot
of
of things would get restructured. Like, I really do. You would probably end up either going to a much less established society and moving into more of a nomadic and tribal type system. Just because so many people are gone, you don't need the giant cities anymore. When you can fit everybody in the city into a third of the city, it's going to feel weird. You're probably going to want to move on. Go somewhere else. Find some more people. So I think it would be... Eventually, it would go one of two ways. It would either go to a single, unified country from all the remnants of all the other countries that were there before, or it would completely fracture, and you'd end up with 100 little tribes or city-states or warlords or sovereign whatevers. I don't think there's much of an in-between. I don't think things would stay the way they were.
So you think that losing 1/3 of the populace would cause this drastic of a change in the political structure in your world?
I might be crazy, but I do. Just because of how... because of how unstable everything is in my world right now. Now? The hell is wrong with my voice? Now? If something that dramatic were to take place with how unstable my world is right now... I did it again. With how unstable my world is right now... There we go. I think it would have like a serious butterfly effect. It would ripple real bad. And I think you would eventually end up with one of those two outcomes, or potentially a lot of the smaller ones coming together and then ending up with maybe 3 or 4 instead of 20 factions at the end of it. But I know you have some groups in my world that are not going to join up with anybody else. You have Minotaurs and Centaurs and that sort of thing. The Dwarves are probably not joining up with anybody because they've been in their hole for 3,000 years. And, like, dragons, there's only one that we know of. That sort of thing. But the elves and the humans don't get along, so they're probably going to segregate. Some of the tribes are probably going to want to remain independent. And it's just... like, you either all come together under one roof because you need each other's support and that infrastructure to be one thing, or it shatters into a million pieces, or it shatters into 4 or 5, 6 big but not as big pieces. I'm rambling.
No, that's perfect. I appreciate it. I'm trying to think of what would happen. So, in my world, because we have the healers... I think that a lot of people would die off because my healers cannot heal you until they know what's wrong. Just like doctors today. You know, you go in with a cough, they give you a cough, you have a cough, and they give you medicine for, oh, you have a cold, so do this. Well, that doesn't work. Oh, you have this. So my healers can't just magically heal people like we see in the movies. They have to know what's wrong with you. So there's going to be a certain amount of die-off before...
You can't just pour their blood in your wounds and you go home itchy but in one piece?
Yeah, that's not what happens. Yeah, magic doesn't happen exactly there. Aww. It kind of does. But once they figure out what's going on, they don't have to manufacture vaccines. Once they understand what's happening... So there's a quicker response period, or
can that knowledge be transferred between healers? Like, if one figures out what something is and how to fix it, can they, like, send everybody else an email and go, here's how you do this?
Yes. Well, it's not email, but yes. I mean? Yeah, I do. So once one healer figures out, they can actually go to put it out there. And I don't think that my world would be as politically divided as the United States was during our pandemic, wherein some people would think, oh, that healer's just trying to make me a sheep, whatever. I think that people would take it seriously. So I don't know that, I'm not convinced that as many people will die. A, because there's a vaccine or a way to heal much quicker, faster. B, people would believe that the healers have the best interest. But if it took until a third of the people died off before that was discovered, how would that affect my world? I think it would affect it profoundly. So my world is based off the idea that there's a certain balance that needs to happen on the earth for the earth to survive. And if suddenly a third of the population died off, that would mean that different types of magical abilities would suddenly die off before others, only because of how statistics and mathematics work. So I think that my deity in my world would be scrambling to try to find a way to balance the magic in the world. So I think if there was this pandemic thing that killed off a third of the people in the world, I think my deity would be the most affected. My earth-based deity would be the most affected. And they'd be scrambling to try to find a way to resolve this issue.
Well, would it be seen as the world being out of balance and just allowed to run its course? As the earth fixing itself?
So, I doubt it.
Sorry to ask the hard questions, but
no, this is what this is about.
I know.
It's about, this podcast is about helping every newbie author and established author, or anywhere in between, understand how the world operates and to ask those tough questions to get them to understand how the depth of their world and their depth of their understanding of the world.
Yeah, I actually find it very useful in the brainstorming world-building process to talk to somebody who knows nothing about my world and ask them a question and see what questions they come back with. So,
yeah,
if they know nothing about your world and like, well, should I do this magic thing or should I do this other thing? And they're like, well, what about this? Because they know nothing about it. They have to fill in all the blanks. So they're going to be asking the questions that readers are going to want to know. And that will help you as a writer fill in the blanks.
Absolutely.
So that's a fun little exercise if you find somebody who can tolerate it.
And that's the key, is to find your tolerated friends.
Find your true friends.
Yes.
Anyways, I'm sorry to interrupt, but continue.
I don't remember the question.
Well, that was fun. If you're an author, newbie or not, and would like to be on our show... for real, though, it's been good. We're rambling, maybe a little bit tipsy, but that's what we do. If you are an author, newbie or not, and would like to be on the show, we'd love to have you. You can let us know by going to our website, whatifsouthisUp.com, and leaving us a message, or you can reach us through our Facebook page.
Also, we're always interested and in need of what-if questions to go into our perpetual spreadsheet. If your made-up world has something interesting about it and you'd like to pose it to us and see how it plays out in our worlds, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
So where can they find us, Derrick, if they want to pose this question?
If you would like to pose for me, my website is derrickhallauthor.com, but you can also find me as dhallauthor on the Clock app, Facebook, and just about anywhere else. Xtina, where can we find you?
My website is uniquelyxtina.com, but I can be found just about anywhere on all the socials as uniquelyxtina. We do have a website at whatifsouthisUp.com. We have a Facebook page, What If South Is Up. We'd love to hear from all of you. We want to know we're not alone in all this, right? Okay?
Huh?
Message us! Talk to us, please!
Yes, give us feedback, give us messages, leave comments on episodes, and maybe we'll start reading them if we ever get any. But
are we up to 12 listeners yet?
I am not sure. One moment. 9. 9? That's 9 downloads. We have more listeners than 9. Probably.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Tell us that we're not wrong.
If you're listening to this, leave a comment and let us know that you're there. We're getting very confused and lonely.
This was awesome. This is so much fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's enough fun to offset the work. So
there you go.
All right, guys. We've had a good time. Probably too much of a good time, and we hope you did as well. We will see you all next time on What If South Is Up.
Peace out.